For more on this, here with me, the CEO of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, Marc Dubowitz. Marc, welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
So more U.S. aid's on the way to Ukraine and Israel soon. Here's President Zelenskyy offering reaction today.
The United States will stay with Ukraine, will protect the Ukrainians, and they'll protect democracy in the world. This is the show of leadership and strength of the United States. And I think, indeed, now we've reached this important moment.
What will be the impact of this aid in both of those conflicts?
Mike, I think it's critical aid. I mean, first of all, it demonstrates that we're willing to have the backs of our allies, that we're, no better friend, no worse enemy. It's important, too, there's no U.S. troops fighting. Our allies are fighting and dying in their own defense, and they both need critical aid. I mean, by the way, that money's going to U.S. defense contractors. It's creating U.S. jobs, and it's helping our allies fight against two of America's most dangerous enemies, Vladimir Putin's Russia and Ali Khamenei's Iran.
You're just back from Israel. We've seen a back and forth between the Israelis and the Iranians this week. Do you worry about an escalation, or do you think this tit for tat will continue?
Yeah, Mike, I always worry about an escalation when the United States and the American president is not making it very clear to America's enemies that if they escalate, we will use instruments of American power. So I think this war, which has been an Iranian war against Israel for 45 years, mostly in the shadows, has come into the daylight. It will continue, but I think that Israeli strike actually reminded Iran's supreme leader that his air defenses don't work and that he's actually very vulnerable.
Do you worry about this making an unpopular regime in Iran with the Iranian people more popular, basically igniting Iranian nationalism?
No, I mean, there's no rally around the Islamic Republic flag. There's a rally around the American flag and actually, surprisingly, around the Israeli flag. I mean, there's been major opposition to the regime for years. Hundreds of thousands of Iranians on the streets yelling death to the dictator. And actually, the regime clamped down after the Israeli strike because they were very afraid of some of the anti-regime protests that have been taking place, also shutting down newspapers and other things that are anti-regime. So majority of Iranians hate this regime, love America, and actually defend Israel.
You're just back. What were your observations of your time there in Israel?
Listen, obviously a society that's been traumatized by October 7th and the murders and rapes and torture of what occurred on that day, but a very resilient society that's willing to fight in its own defense. The young generation there is remarkable. I mean, incredibly patriotic, and they're on the battlefield, and they're out there defending their parents and their sisters. And I think it's a society that will continue to thrive, but it obviously needs U.S. support to do its own fighting, and it's against a very dangerous enemy in a very dangerous time.
Do you have a message for American policymakers? Because you're just back from there. You've seen it firsthand in terms of where things are in this conflict.
I think my major message is just back the Israelis in this fight against radical Islam, because radical Islam is not only coming to our streets, Mike, it's already here. And so if the Israelis lose, we lose. And again, they consider America to be the great Satan. Israel's just the little Satan. They chant death to America and burn American flags just as they do Israeli flags. So Israel's fight is our fight.
We've seen more conflict on college campuses, Columbia University being the latest example. What do you make of that?
It's unbelievable that in 2024, Jewish kids can't go to college because they're afraid and they're requesting that they study from home because they're so afraid of being harassed. I mean, I think this is a function of the radical left. It's also a function of billions of dollars being spent by the Qataris and other Arab countries directly in these colleges, and administrators that have turned a blind eye. In fact, if anything, have benefited from the billions of dollars flowing into their coffers. And here we are in 2024 where it's not safe to go to school.
Marc Dubowitz, thank you for your time and your analysis today.
Thanks, Mike, for having me.